Okay, guys? Excellent. All right, so I need you all to pay attention, please. So, Nucky, what were you saying about Douglas Mawson?
He was one of Australia's most famous geologists and explorers.
He was indeed. Okay, so Sir Douglas Mawson, mind you, Sir Douglas Mawson. He's not with us anymore. But he was one of our most famous geologists and explorers. A geologist being what exactly?
Studies geology.
Studies life.
Tess has got it.
He studies rocks and stuff.
Rocks and stuff. Okay? Rocks and stuff. Those are lands. Alright, so he's an Englishman. He's actually not Australian, though we do kind of claim him. Steph, you're paying attention to this moment, okay? So yeah, he's an Englishman. He's not Australian. But he moved to Australia when he was only 2, so that's why we kind of claimed him. Kind of like how we claim Russell Crowe, except when he does stupid stuff and then he's not Australian anymore. Alright? Or Mel Gibson. You know, he's Australian when he's doing a good movie, he's not Australian when he's punching people. So, he studied geology at the University of Sydney. Again, I shouldn't be hearing anyone else talk yet. Thank you. Okay, so he basically headed up a team with another pretty famous guy called Ernest Shackleton. Alright? And these were the first couple of guys to climb on top of Mount Everest. Does anyone know where that is?
That way.
Erebus? Alright, let's find out. See, you remember how I like doing stuff? Just to see what it does. So let's just define this sucker. Pretty down pretty cute. We'll come back to it. Alright, so this is what happened. Alright, this is pretty important. This is a pretty big thing that happened in 1911. Late. Again, guys, if I hear you talking now, I'm going to kick you out. Are we cool with that? Awesome. Just because this is really important, this is your project, so I want you to get it. So, starting late 1911, this is pretty important, this is the big thing that he's known for. Alright, he led the first Australian expedition to Antarctica. Alright, first one to do it. So, basically, they split off. Okay, there's a few of these guys. There was a guy called Ninnis and a guy called Mertz. The reason why I'm going over this pretty quickly is because we come back and talk about this in more detail later on in this topic. Okay, but it's not what this is all about. So, they went on the track, okay, and then on the 14th of December, Ninnis fell. Okay, he went into a crevasse with his sledge and his dogs and a crap load of food, and the story will continue. Dun, dun, dun. But we're not going to talk about that now, okay? We're going to get back to that at a later date. See how I left you on that cliffhanger? What happened? He fell on the
See what you did.
I know, pretty clever. So, we're not talking about that right now, but what we've got here is Mawson was a prolific diary writer. He loved writing his diary and his journals, okay? As most scientists and geologists do. Okay, they're really, really detailed in what they talk about. So much so that he was able to write a book, a pretty big book, and a pretty popular book, which was all about his expedition in Antarctica. So obviously I've spoiled the end there, he does come back. Because he wrote a book about it. Now that book, if you go to the book I made for you, you can actually read his entire book online for free, and you can actually download it to your iPad for free as well. It's a hard read, because it's quite detailed, but it's pretty cool. Get it? Because Antarctica. I'm going to have lots of those. Alright, so, he was a prolific diary writer, okay? And his journals and diaries, they're super, super detailed. Now, they weren't published until the late 1980s, basically. Now, remember, this happened in 1911, so it took a while for them to publish these books. But yeah, that was super detailed. Now, here's an example. I've actually put, if you scroll down here, how cool is that? I've got some of his diary entries. So I'm going to read a couple. So you see the level of detail he's got here. Okay, so 5th of January, overcast, a little snowfalling drift. The wind, as usual, in early morning hours, 20 to 3.5 miles per hour. Reached 40 miles per hour this morning. Okay, so the first thing he's done is he's talked about the weather and where it is in the day. Okay, becomes somewhat calmer, 20 miles per hour at 9 a.m. I tried to get Xavier to start, but he practically refused, saying it was suicide, and that it's much best for him to have the day in bag and dry it and get better. Okay, now again, this is 1911, so some of these are quite tricky to read because they're written in that kind of older English style. He won't say long. Saying it was suicide and that it's much best for him to have the day in bag and dry it and get better. Okay, Then do more on sunshining day. I strongly advocated doing 2 to 5 miles only for exercise, even if we could not see properly. Eventually we decided to rest today, but every day after that he would shift. Alright, this is still the same entry. We had one meal at 3:30 PM, a half tin hoosh and coca and half biscuit. A rattling good meal, and now I feel comparatively satisfied as if I just came out of one of the best London restaurants. This meal broke first food at bag 10 and sun appeared fitfully at same time. A good omen. Later at 4:20 PM, sun shines bright and weather clearing. Mertz will not move till tomorrow, however. It may be better for his legs too. He will, all will depend on the Providence now. It is an even race to the hut. Now, you guys don't know what's happened at this point, I'm assuming?
No.
Okay, alright, and I won't spoil it, but I might read, let's read it, I'll go down a little bit.
Was he talking about his dogs?
Okay, I'm going to go down to here. Let's go to the 8th of January. The weather today, overcast most of the time. The gleams of sun and light, snow in the evening. This awful weather is quite unlooked for, and I deeply hope it has not caught any of the party short of food. For many days now, since first quiet, Zade's condition has prevented us going on, and now I'm afraid it has cooked my chances altogether. Even of a single attempt either to the coast or to the hut. Lying in a damp bag for a week on extremely low rations has reduced my condition seriously. However, I shall not spend today remodelling the gear to make an attempt. I shall do my utmost to the last for butters and supporters and members of the expedition's sakes, and at least get word through how matters stand. This spot is only 100 miles southeast of Hutt, a few miles nearer, probably on slopes of an icy plateau, over the large glacier past the crater. So again, really detailed. Okay, really detailed, explaining where he is, what's going on. I'm going to move forward a little bit to here, 9th of January. Sun gleamed early in the morning, then got stronger. Wind, however, so strong, about 45 to 50 miles per hour, that I dare not take down tent as could not gear it up again myself. So do odd jobs waiting for a chance. I have more to eat today in hope that it will give me strength for the future. One annoying effect of food is that whenever the skin breaks, it refuses to heal. The nose and lips break apart also. We'll leave that one. Is getting in a painfully raw condition due to reduced condition dampness and friction in walking. It is well nigh impossible to treat. Okay? Now, let's move on. I read the burial service over Xavier this afternoon. So something's happened to Xavier. Okay, which we'll talk about later. As there is little chance of my reaching human aid alive, I gratefully regret my inability to set out the coastline as surveyed for the 300 miles we travelled and record the notes of glaciers, ice formations, etc. The most of which latter is of course committed to my head. That's the last entry I put in there. Alright? Now again, you can see it's quite hard to read. Remember, this guy is writing this, he's nearly dead. Okay? And he's writing this in his sleeping bag, in blizzards, in the snow, with a pen and paper. Okay? But very detailed. So, what am I getting at here? Okay? Let's have a look at what the conditions are that he's writing this in. Now, there's no sound on this. Okay? This is documentary footage. So this is where they're landing in Antarctica, I think. We're going to look at the caption there. So this is pretty old, this is really old. We're talking about, what, over 100 years old. Okay. So they're the icebergs surrounding Antarctica. Alright. Now, the second one here is, this is where they're trying to get across some of the conditions that they have to face. So have a look at this. Now again, this is 1911. These guys aren't wearing snowsuits. They're not wearing like giant ski gear that you've got now. They're wearing woolen coats and shoes, like leather shoes. Okay.
There's like a dog in the background.
Yeah, there was. That's what they use. They use dogs. So these guys are traveling in these conditions with pickaxes, with boots, with socks. This is insane what these guys did. Okay.
Why do they have a pickaxe?
To move forward. All right. So you can see him here, really working hard. Okay, and again, they can't talk to each other because it's so loud there. Alright, it's so windy. So this is Nennis and Mertz, okay, trying to set up their tent. Look at the wind go. So these two guys, as you'll discover later on, actually they die in this expedition. Okay, and it's insane. Look at them go. Like, it's so hard, and the cameraman's not even helping.
Good news, Joe.
Alright, the turn of the town. Okay, alright. So we'll move on. So, let's move this on a little bit. Okay, so the diary entries, as you saw there, they're really, really, really detailed. Okay? But you can also read them on Twitter. Alright? So, what we've got here is somebody has got Mawson's diary entries, and by somebody, I mean the Tasmanian Department of Economic Development and Tourism. Alright? For the 100th anniversary of this expedition, which was a few years back, okay, what they actually did was they got all his diary entries and they brought them down to 140 characters and they placed them chronologically on Twitter. So here's a few of them here. Okay, I've just got a few. So obviously with Twitter works the other way around, where the latest posts, okay, are on the top and the oldest posts are on the bottom. So we're starting at the end here. To Belgrade for distance 80 verse, they were the no finer gentlemen. Alright, so signing off, but once a patronage to my comrades on this expedition, their hard work, loyalty and sacrifice will be remembered. I am shaken to pieces somewhat. It will take some time to pull me up, or to anything like I was before that awful journey home. So, this is all these diary entries in Twitter form. Okay, and I'm getting to the point in a second. We're getting there. You can actually go have a look on the actual Twitter feed. It may want to hopefully, yeah, excellent. So you can actually see Douglas Wilson's Twitter feed here, and you can read all his tweets, all 1,020 of them. You can follow him if you like, and then scroll through, and you can see all here. And you can follow Mertz as well. He's done one too, so it's pretty cool. All right. So we'll go back to this one. All right, now. The thing with Mawson though, because he was such a prolific diary writer, I'm pretty sure he'd be a little bit perturbed that his entries were getting put down to 140 characters. But when you read them, they're actually pretty detailed. Okay, there's a lot of them, and they're pretty detailed and concise. They managed to get a whole diary entry, and they pick one little bit of information and sum it up. So it's really clever, which is why it's pretty cool. Okay, and what I've got here as well, Mawson was also he's got a link with this kind of communication, alright? Because Mawson was basically, he's really heavily involved in it, and he was one of the first people to establish a wireless radio connection in Antarctica. He was one of the first people to do that. So this kind of whole social networking and wireless and all that kind of stuff, this was happening in 1911, just not to the standard we have now. And Mawson was part of that, which is why I'm kind of linking this together. So we'll go through here. Again, you can go through this book in your own time. So let's move on. I'm going to a diary. Alright, so dear diary. So I'm sure you've all heard of diaries and journals, yeah? You know what they're about. But who's used one here? Who's used a diary or a journal?
We used to have two.
Alright, so because I guess the camera can't see. So guys, we have what? 4 or 5 people saying they've used a diary or a journal. Who's used Facebook here? Nearly all of you. Okay? So you technically have all used a diary or a journal. Do you kind of get that? Because, let's have a look. Alright, I wrote an entry. Okay, so dear diary. We've talked about how Douglas Mawson kept an extremely detailed diary or journal that documented not only his expedition but a good part of his life. The art of diary writing, in the traditional sense, has probably gone out of fashion now. You know, it probably really has. People don't sit there and write these big journals anymore. But I bet a lot of you are still doing something similar. So Facebook, Twitter, blog, Instagram, Snapchat, Tumblr, SMS messages, okay? This just kind of goes on. That is the diary, because a diary essentially is a record with discrete entries arranged by date reporting on what has happened over the course of the day or another period. So if you guys send SMS messages to your mum, you're doing exactly that. You're telling her what's happening over the course of the day or over the course of a year or over the course of 10 years. I could get all those SMS messages, they would all be in order, and date order and time order and when you sent them, and I could have a snapshot of your life. This is the same as Facebook. Okay, when you guys are posting, today I'm going to the beach, here's a picture of me with my sister, okay? It's posted with the date you did it, and it's done in a chronological way. So Facebook is a diary, okay? You're all doing it. Twitter is a diary, okay? So that's what I'm trying to get here. Now let's have a look at this one here. This is Facebook from good old Abe Lincoln, alright? Again, this is obviously set up by somebody else, because it's dead. But what we've got here is a diary, and it's really, really detailed, okay? Again, you'll see this more in your book. We actually have here,
Relationships.
yeah, so we've got the date, okay, we've got the time, we've got, let's have a look at, guys, well, you guys can have a look at it in a second, alright, but let me have a quick look here. What is Abe doing? Abe is headed to the theatre, okay, we all know how that ends, unfortunately. Alright, then we've got Abe is depressed today, having a hard time getting out of bed, and if you look at the date, you'll know why, for historians, there's a link, it's quite funny. Let's have a look at who we've got a comment from. Robert E. Lee. Sorry, I don't trust you and I don't like you. Again, that'll make sense if you know who Robert E. Lee is.
No. Did he kill it?
No, that's Lee Harvey.
No.
No, he killed JFK.
Oh,
Okay.
This guy is so cool.
Okay. So,
Shot him in the back.
all of this starts to make sense in historical context. It's really, really clever. We've got Harriet Tubman. Okay, God won't let Master Lincoln beat the South till he has done the right thing. Again, if you know who that is, this will all make sense, and this timeline will all make sense. Now, again, why do you think the timeline ends on Abe's headed for the theatre? Because he gets shot. Okay? But again,
Everyone's laughing when he gets shot.
you can see how, oh, he's a good looking guy. You can see how someone's used Facebook here, okay, to actually give you a really detailed historical account. It's a little bit funny, but it's accurate and it's to Abe Lincoln. So you guys, you know how to use Facebook. You may not know how to read a journal. Like if you read Abe's journal, it'd be really old and hard to read. But you guys can read this pretty easily. You know what's going on. You know what happens if someone likes or doesn't like. You know why he's got friends. Okay, you can see his pictures. So it's really, really cool. All right. So let's just move on a little bit. So this is getting to your little project part. Okay, and this is again what I'm doing it in detail today, and I'll let talk about it again. So you're going to make a Antarctica Chronicle. I just used the word Chronicle because I thought it sounded cooler than diary, so that's why. So over the next few weeks, this is what we're looking at. Okay, we're looking at Antarctica, we're looking at facts, we're looking at the wildlife, food web, penguins, science, the riches of Antarctica, like mining. We're looking at the bases, we're looking at the expeditions, and we're also going to be looking at Douglas Mawson quite a lot. Okay? This is what we're looking at. So, this is what you guys are going to do. Alright, now this is pretty cool, but it requires, you guys to start kind of, I don't know, you know how I love giving you freedom and trying new things. So, what we've got, you're looking at this stuff, and what you're going to do is you're going to create a chronicle. Now, a chronicle is a factual written account of importance or historical events in the order of their occurrence. Okay, so you're writing this in order. Now, the tricky part of this chronicle, you have to put yourselves in the shoes of a person that is just about to land in Antarctica. Okay, you're just about to land, you're going to do an expedition in Antarctica. As in this current day and time. Okay, you don't have to put yourselves in 1911 timeframes or anything like that. You are Sam landing in Antarctica. Okay, in 2013 on the 1st of April. So, let's say in our first lesson on Antarctica, which hopefully we'll get through in a second, we might talk about, we're going to talk about the facts, we're going to talk about maybe the history of Antarctica, we're going to talk about the weather, a few things like that. We're going to discuss it in class. Okay? So you've got that information. Then what you're going to do is you're going to write your first entry today. So all of this is going to be done in class, alright, and it's all going to be done after we finish talking about something. Does that kind of make sense? So let's say tomorrow we talk about penguins. Alright, this is an example. We're just going to talk about penguins. Then your second entry in your chronicle is going to revolve around that information. Okay? So it's going to link though, it has to link because this is what's happening. So your first entry, you might say, my name's Sam, I'm on the boat ready for Antarctica, we're landing, okay, the weather is this, it was a 12-hour boat ride from Melbourne, blah, 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 blah. I've got to my base, which is next to Mawson Base, which is located at, all that kind of stuff, and that's the end of my entry. Your second entry, when we talked about penguins, today I got up out of the base and I started on a journey north. On the way, I spotted several emperor penguins. They can live in this environment because they have a thick skin with lots of blubber, and they hunt food in certain areas. So see how you're using details from the stuff that we use and talked about, and you're putting it into your diary. Does that make sense, Alicia?
Yeah.
Yeah? Cool. So it's a really good way for you guys to kind of, each class, you're going to summarise what we talked about in your own words, in your own way, in your little diary here. Okay? So, you've got choice. you have lots of choice. So Mawson. So when Mawson started his journey, 1911, he didn't have a great deal of options into how he was going to present this information. Alright? He had like a pen and a bit of paper because left his iPad at home. It was really annoying. Like, oh, my iPad, but you know, there's no PowerPoint or electricity, so I'm cool with that. I'll be able to charge it anyway. So, what do you guys have? What do you guys have? Tell me. What do you guys have?
iPad.
You have iPad. What else have you got?
Cameras.
Cameras. What else you got? Phones. Yeah. What else do you have in terms of ways to keep a journal? iBooks. Yeah. Facebook. Twitter. YouTube. Tumblr. What else do you use that you keep a journal of that we discovered? Instagram, yeah. Snapchat, yeah. Okay. You have all of these options. Okay. Mawson had pen and paper. All right. So you are able to use any of these options. Okay. You are able to use Facebook. You are able to use Twitter. You are able to use Tumblr. You are able to use YouTube. You are able to use a couple other things you can talk about in a second. You are able to do all this kind of stuff. Alright? But, there's a but. Jesse, there's a but. So, if you're using Twitter, alright? Ash, if you guys are going to use Twitter, that's cool. I'm fine with that. But it doesn't mean that when you have your half an hour to write your journal entry, you're going to write one entry on Twitter. Okay? You will have to write probably about 10 or 11. And Twitter sounds cool, but to do it well is going to be tough. So not only do you have to write your journal entries, Alicia, not only do you have to write your journal entries, you have 140 characters to do so. So you may write your first Twitter entry could be just on the HMS Nucky travelling towards Antarctica at 140 miles per hour. Your next entry, have just travelled the 5-day journey to Antarctica. Next entry. Okay? So you have to be short and concise, but you still need to cover quite a lot of content. Okay? So I expect someone using Twitter to cover the same amount of details as someone may be using a blog and writing a one-page post. Okay? If someone's using Tumblr, which is a lot of images, I expect that person to be using a lot of images that are referenced from Antarctica, they're actual images, okay, with detailed captions and detailed descriptions. So you all are working with the same amount of content. How you do it is up to you. If you use Facebook, that's fine, okay? But again, I'll expect you to use Facebook. You can use all the options. You can use the, you check in and you put a time in there, I'm now here. You can use the dates. Facebook's really cool because you can do a timeline and you can make that, you put your timeline of where it is. You can put whatever date you want in there, okay? So I'm happy with you doing that. You might do comments from other people on Facebook saying, oh, I just saw you on the HMS Nucky. I can't wait for our expedition. Did you see that cool emperor penguin with his coat of blubber? Again, you can get other people doing this. Fred?
Can you do like hashtag on my way? Stuff on hashtag.
Yeah, if you want to. Again, how you do this, guys, how you do this is going to be up to you in the way that you know how to do it. Some of you guys are, I don't have Facebook, some of you guys are awesome on Facebook, okay? Some of you guys are brilliant on Twitter. Some of you guys, I know, have awesome YouTube channels and are great at filming videos. Okay? So I want you to do it to your strengths. Yes?
If we're using it on Facebook, do we just make an account or something?
I'll show you. Okay, we're getting to that. So, there are your options. So let's switch across. So, this is what we can choose. These are the ones that I'm going to use for your main group. If there's anything else, you need to speak to me about it. Okay? Because these are the ones that I know how to use well and I can control and I know you guys know how to use. And more importantly, we can use them in class. That's the key one. Okay? So a blog. You can do a blog. Now, what is a blog? A blog is essentially, do you know what a blog stands for, by the way?
Yeah. Yes. Just video.
No, it basically comes from the word weblog. I didn't know that. Who does? Alright, so it is done in a bunch of discrete entries or posts. Okay? And these are displayed in reverse chronological order. So the most recent first. Alright? Which is different from, say, Mawson's journal. Because he would write, his oldest entry would be first. Because that's how they work, because he would write the first entry on the first page of the diary. You couldn't write backwards. But with the internet, we can go the other way around. Okay? So, this might be familiar. Have we seen this blog?
Yep.
It's really popular. It's run by an amazing person. Alright, so that's a blog. So you guys can do a blog. Okay? Facebook. Alright. You guys know what this is. It's an online social networking service. Alright? I don't need to go into Facebook. You know what it is. Twitter. Same deal, except it's what's called a micro-blogging service, okay? Because you're still blogging, but really small. You've got 140 characters. You can put images, and you can put video as well. Okay, really easy. Then you've got a video blog. Video blogs or vlogs, alright, essentially are that. It's a video, instead of you typing a page, okay, you're filming yourself. You might be talking in it, it might just be you filming your face, you might be filming something else, but it's a series of videos which is explaining the day. Okay? So that's your video blog. And finally, Tumblr. So Tumblr is, essentially it's another micro-blogging service, I guess. It can be fully blown, like I've seen Tumblrs which are as detailed as blogs easily. Okay, it's the same kind of format. But most of you know Tumblr for images, I'm pretty sure. Just streams of images. So that's fine as well. Okay, if you do something like Tumblr, you would be focusing on your images, but you would need obviously captions to explain them. So, that's what you'll be using. They're your options. Okay, again, if there's anything else you want to use other than those, you need to speak to me and you need to tell me how you're going to do it. Okay, so, let's move across. So, these things are all blocked at school, yeah?
Yeah.
Can't use Facebook, can't use Twitter, boo boo. Alright, so, let's have a look though at what these things are at their core, essentially. So, a blog. A blog is essentially a series of posts. So, you can write these posts in pages. It's exactly the same. Okay? You do a pages document, and then your first post, you'll have your date, and then you'll have your entries. And you can put images, you can put videos in there. So that's exactly what a blog is. Okay? I've also got WordPress unblocked. So if you actually want to make a blog, create your own blog, okay? I'll show you how to do that, that's fine. But you can do that. You can make your own blog. Or, if you prefer, you do it in pages. And you write your entries in pages. There's your blog. Okay? Facebook. So, Facebook is basically, you also the layout of Facebook. Okay? So, I've done two things with Facebook. One, there's something like this. I've made one. This is called Facebook. Alright? It's exactly the same kind of thing as Facebook, except this isn't blocked. Okay? How it works is you create a Facebook page, and it's made to you, it's got a password on it, no one else can access it, okay? Other people can see it, but no one can edit it. It's a standalone little web page, it's pretty cool, okay? And it works kind of the same, so here's one, again, good looking guy. So here's my Facebook page. Today I created a Facebook to demonstrate how you can do this for the Chronicle project. Maybe this could be your post about Antarctica, add some pictures, comments, anything. And then I've got a friend from Douglas Lawson. He's one of my friends, and he's put a comment in. That's cool, Mr. Garcia. Oh, did you get my joke there? Cool. You know, because I explored Antarctica, and it's cold. Hey, it was fucking 1911. I'm going to edit the video and put a huge laughs in there. Thank you, nothing. We'll put that in. Excellent. So, you've got that there. Now, what I've done as well with Facebook, I have made a Keynote template Facebook. Okay?
I saw that.
I put it online last night. So what we've got here, this is in Keynote. Okay? Hopefully it loads. Okay, fine. This is in Keynote here. It's essentially the entire Facebook page. Okay? You can go in and you can edit these. Okay? You can add your own images, you can do all that kind of stuff. Alright? You can write something in text, you can write your own entries. They're linked. Personal information, you can do all this kind of stuff. Alright, all in Keynote. Alright, and finally, if you want, and I don't mind, you can make your own Facebook page if you want to. Okay?
On real life.
On real life. Alright? So how are we going to do that? Obviously it's a little bit of a trickier one, that one. Alright?
Does that mean like if someone posts something and keep posting, that means it goes forward?
Yeah. So if you want to do Facebook, you can use the actual Facebook. Okay? Something you might want to do is in the time that we have in class, you write your entry, you write the information you're going to do, and then you could just go home that night and post stuff on Facebook and add your stuff that way, which would be cool. Alright? I'd be happy for you to do that as well. Or depending on how many people want to use Facebook, I'll get it unlocked for our class time, so you can work on your Facebook page. But you will need to create a new one. That's the only key. I don't want you using your Facebook page. I want you to create a new page, which is, I don't know, Sam the Antarctic Man, okay? Whatever you want, as long as it's a new page and it's not related to you or any of your friends.
Not
it's
the
standalone.
Antarctic.
Okay? So we'll talk about that. Twitter. Alright, Twitter's an easy one. Again, it's just a list of posts in 140 characters. So you can do that in pages, piece of cake. Alright, same deal. I've actually set up for you here somewhere. Alright, I've set up a Twitter template, alright, which is going to go in a second. There we go. So, same deal, you can sit here and you can type in your username and it'll just come in here. Alright, and then you can do your tweets. Remember, there are going to be 140 characters. Alright, and you can put images in there as well. So you've got that as an option. Alright, which is pretty cool. Or you can use pages and you can make your own. Or if we go back to the book, this website is called Today's Meet. Alright, it's essentially Twitter online. And it's not blocked. You can do it anytime. Alright, so I can set up one of those. Show us. Today's Meet. I'm showing you now. Alright, so what you do with Today's Meet is you set up a channel. So you name your room and you can call this room Antarctica Project. Alright? Then you say how long you want this room to be available online for. Anyone can access this, it's really cool. Okay, so we'll say a month. I'm going to call this Dan. I can't have that. Project. Can I have that? I can't have that either. Alright, let's go. Dan the Man. Yes, I can have Dan. Alright, Dan the Man, 1 month. Red room. Alright, and so now once done, it's made a page called todaysmeet.com/dantheman. You guys can go to that right now. In fact, do. I'll show you what you can do. So, I'm going to say Daniel, and I'm going to say join, and I'm going to say this.
It's blocked.
It says it's blocked.
Is it blocked?
Yeah.
I'll unblock it for you later. Alright, so, and there you go. And you can see it's got my first post come up there. Now, if you guys go to this, you can do it tonight. I'll unblock it this hour actually, so you can play with it later. So if you go to todaysmeet.com/dantheman, you put in your name and you can put in a post as well, and it'll stay there for a month, and then you can download it. So that's really cool. Alright, and finally, video blog. It's a bunch of videos, okay? So you guys can do this in iMovie really, really easily. Okay, you set up an iMovie project, and each lesson, you film yourself or whatever it's going to be, and you can use the transitions, put a date on there, put a time, you're pretty cool. So that's your option. And Tumblr, alright, I use Keynote for Tumblr. It's really, really visual. Images, text, okay? And same deal. If you want to, when you go home, you can set up a Tumblr account and you can put your stuff up there. I encourage it. I reckon that'd be awesome if you can do that. Again, I won't be giving you homework, so if you want to take your homework as setting up your Facebook page at home, or setting up your Tumblr account, or setting up your Twitter account to do this, there's your homework right there. So when your parents ask you why you're on Facebook, you can legitimately say, here's my homework. Alright, here it is. As long as it's on this page and on this book. Alright. And that's it. So those templates are in the books, so you can download those.
That doesn't work.
I have no idea.
It's also on the server.
Facebook.
They're also on the server.
No, you just have to go into documents now.
Yeah, I'll show it to you later. So all that information is there. Alright. What time have we got? Oh, we've got plenty of time. Any questions? There's got to be a few on this one. Any questions?
And then go to the class.
Yes, it is cool.
Are we allowed to just do a Pages document?
Yeah, of course. Any other questions? Questions? There's got to be questions, yes. So what is your question? Okay, so what we need to do then, I'll sum it up. Let me sum it up, okay? Each class we talk about Antarctica. We talk about something about Antarctica, okay, bros? And then what you do, I will give you half an hour before the bell goes, before the end of that class, and you will create a new entry in your Chronicle, or in your diary, okay? That entry will be about what we discussed in that lesson, the information we talked about, okay? And bigger picture, it's going to be a group of entries that all link together, okay? So for instance, if today, let's just say I want you to write a diary entry about today. You would say, alright, dear diary, or you would get your video blog and start to film it, or you would start going to Twitter, and you would say, today we discussed our new Antarctica project. Mr. Garcia, looking trendy as always, came to the class and said some amazing jokes about the coolness and stuff because it was cold. We then focused on this, and this, and we looked at these websites, and here's an image of Mr. Garcia doing this. Okay, here's a video, end of entry. Okay, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
But you're doing it about Antarctica. So, in our first Antarctica. In our first Antarctica lesson, which we'll hopefully get to in a minute, okay, if we say talk about travelling to Antarctica and how you get there and the weather and the history, then your first entry will have that information in it. Okay? And the best part is I'm making books for you on Antarctica so you can reference back to those books and all your information will be in those books. Okay? But I also expect you to go elsewhere and find other info to cover it. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. And the way you do this, the way you choose to do this, is up to you. Okay? We're using social media as a little bit of an experiment. So you can do a blog, you can do Twitter, you can do Facebook, you can do YouTube, okay? And of course you can do alternatives of that in the class. So if you want to do a blog, for instance, if you didn't want to set up a blog, that's fine. What you'll do is you go into pages and you'll write your entry in pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? If you want to do it in Facebook, that's fine. You can try those templates, okay? Or you may just want to actually create a Facebook page and do it in there as well. Okay? But the key is, the important thing is, because I'm expecting I'm going to have people using Twitter, people using YouTube, people using Facebook, you all need to be producing the same amount of content. Okay? So, if we cover a lot in one lesson, you need to cover that in your social media of choice. So if it was Twitter, you'd be using a lot of entries, but being very concise. So that's a tricky one, but a cool one if you get it done right. If you look at the Mawson example, it's really, really good. If you're doing the video blog one, okay, I would be expecting you to record a 5-minute video where you're talking about exactly what we discussed, okay, and you might even have some images. If you're doing a blog post, I would expect probably about a page on a blog post. If you're doing Facebook, again, similar to Twitter, except you don't have that restriction, I'd be expecting some fairly big comments. So, Facebook, you might have, like, you know how you say where you are? You might say where you are Antarctica, or where you are Melbourne, or where you are on the boat to Antarctica. And then your first comment could be about the boat ride, the distance, how far it is, all that kind of stuff. And then your second post on Facebook could be arrived in Antarctica, the weather is, da-da-da-da. Here's a picture of what the coastline looks like, and you've got the picture up there. Okay? So, what you choose is up to you, but you need to be using it to its best advantage. So Facebook is great because you can put a whole bunch of stuff on there. Twitter is great because you can be really concise. Okay, video blogs are great because you can be very visual and you can film yourself. Written blogs are great, again, because they're simple to produce, they're easy to upload. Tumblr is awesome because it's visual and people can see straight away, but you'll need to be concise with your comments so I can read it. Okay, I don't want to see 400 pictures of penguins. Fred?
Are we working individually?
Individually.
Alright.
Definitely individually on this one. Alright? Any other questions? Alright, it's a tricky one. So what I'm going to expect for this weekend is I want you to go through this book again. Okay, I'll put the video up, but I want you to go through this, have a read through it. Okay? And think about, really, really think about the choice that you're going to use. Okay? And then you're going to go on the blog and you're going to comment on it, and you're going to give me an example. How you're going to do that. I'll explain it later. Okay? And that's your last project. Done. So I kind of, do you think it's alright? Yeah, I thought it'd be a bit different, something you're used to doing. Okay, I really want to kind of bring in the fact that Mawson was so detailed in his diary writings, but this is all he had, these journals. You guys now have all of these options. You have stacks more options, so let's see how you can present your information with all these extra ways of doing something. Okay? We're doing it in class. You're going to have half an hour or so at the end of each class, so you don't have to stress about that. But like I said, no homework. So, if you want to take it to the next level and create your Facebook page, which would be brilliant, okay? If you want to create your Twitter page, which would be brilliant, I encourage you to do so. In fact, I would really, really love it if some of you guys did this, okay? Mainly because if we do this well, and I know you'll do it well, we can start to show, we can show other teachers, other students, hey, look, this is how I can use Facebook in class, this is how I can use Twitter in class, okay? And they're going to go, hey, yeah, they're pretty cool. Why don't we start looking at that kind of stuff? So it's kind of, I'm doing it for you, I'm doing it for me as well. Alright, so, no, we do this really successfully. We can show people how this social media stuff is actually a really cool way of working. You guys know how to use it really, really well. You can do it way better than I could. Okay? So let's see how you can use it to help your learning. And it'll look good for me. Deal? Cool. Alright, are we done with this? Alright, let's have 5 minutes just to chill out for a minute, go through the book, have a chat, and then we'll actually start talking about Antarctica. On your own.
So we're gonna write a blog.